Hi, it's Chris Cook from 3M Commercial Graphics here, and today we're going to talk about applying film to textured surfaces. What we have here is rendered concrete and then painted, and you can see that it does have a slight texture to it. Now, one of the problems that we run into with a surface like this is that because of that texture, the adhesive on the film can actually have problems making full contact with the surface, and as a result we don't get very good adhesion. So there are some things that we can do to help with that. What you'll see is if we apply our film, typically you'll use your squeegee or your applicator and you'll work the film onto the surface. You'll use good firm pressure to make sure you really work that film down into the surface. Okay, and that looks okay. But what you'll notice is if I take a rivet brush and actually work part of that film with the rivet brush, what you can see is that now the film actually starts to make much better contact with the surface. The bristles of the brush are actually pushing the film and the adhesive down into that surface roughness of the wall, so that our adhesive is actually now making full contact. So that's going to give us much stronger adhesion in this area. Now, you're probably saying, well, if I'm going to do a full wall, I probably don't want to be doing the entire thing with a little rivet brush. And that's true. So what you can actually use is just a simple nylon bristle scrubbing brush. It's about $5 from the hardware store. It does exactly the same thing. The bristles on this actually work the film down into the surface to make sure that we've got really good adhesive contact. And that adhesive contact is what's going to give us good adhesion and stop the film lifting off the surface. Now, another thing that you want to consider when you are applying film to a textured surface is the kind of vinyl that you actually select. This was a cast vinyl, so relatively thin and quite conformable, so it quite easily takes on that texture of the surface. Notice the difference if I apply next to that a piece of calendered film. Calendered film is thicker and less conformable. You can probably already see the difference. The calendered film tends to sit more on the top of that surface roughness rather than work its way down into the sort of little valleys between the peaks. Even if I try using the rivet brush, while it does certainly help and makes the adhesion better, you can quite clearly see the difference between the two. The cast film really has taken on that surface texture of the wall to get full contact, whereas the calendered film, even with the use of the brush, is really just still sitting on the top. So our adhesion on the calendered film is not going to be anywhere near as good as with the cast film. So when you are applying graphics to a surface that has texture, whether it be painted concrete or even some cast metals have this sort of this texture, think about two things. First of all, what kind of application tools you're going to use to do it, and secondly, think very carefully about the most appropriate film to use for the job.